In today's video, we are getting crafty and we are making some kids activities that are Christmas themed. Everything in today's video is going to be related to Christmas trees, and it's going to be fun educational learning activities. And I want to thank Cricut, who is sponsoring today's video. Hey you guys, it's Christina from the Purple Alphabet, and we are making some DIYs, and we're doing kids activities that are all centered around Christmas trees. So I have a couple of ideas in here for you to explore, and you can easily do them at home. They're very budget friendly, or if you prefer to do it a little bit easier, you can use the Cricut machines to cut them. Cricut is sponsoring today's video, and I found it extraordinarily easy to use, and I wanted to show you how you can use it. But if you don't have a Cricut machine, you can also cut these out on your own. If you don't know what Cricut is a cutting machine, and they sent me over a whole bunch of materials to explore with and to try, including a Cricut Explorer Air 2, which I'll be using and demonstrating in this video. So we're gonna hop on over and I'm gonna show you all the activities that we're making today. I have 3 projects that I'm going to show you today, and for the first one I'm going to go in a little bit more detail on how it works and how you can use Cricut to actually do it. We're going to start off in Design Space, which is this right here. It's an online platform that Cricut has where you can design your creations. I'm going to go over here to the side on the left and pick projects, and when you do this, it's going to pop up all of these ideas that you can make on your own. There is so much inspiration on here. I did find one that I really liked and I saved it in my favorites, so I'm going to go ahead and choose that. It's this 3D tree ornament. When you click on it, it's going to show you all the materials you need to make this project, how to make it, and even gives you some tips and tricks too. I thought this would be really fun to make this as an ornament, even though it says it's a place card. That's the cool thing about Cricut, is that you can design it for how you want it to be. You can go ahead and print this, or you can customize it, which is what I'm going to do, because there's a little banner on there that I would like to write a little something on. When you click customize it, it takes you back into Design Space so that you can do what you need to do to alter it. So what I'm going to do is add some text and something really simple here to this little white banner. I go to the left, choose the text option, and I'm going to type in Christmas 2020. I can pick the fonts that I want to use. I'm going to use a really fun Cricut one, and I can resize it to the size that I want it to be. I want it to fit just right on here, and I'm actually going to choose draw. Otherwise, Cricut's going to think I want to cut this, and it will cut it out of the banner, and we don't want that. So I'm going to pick draw. It's going to ask me which marker or pen I'm going to use, and I have a really pretty gold metallic that I want to try out, so we're going to pick that from their drop down menus. Next, over here on the right side of my Design Space, I'm going to actually attach the banner and the writing together, so that way Cricut knows that these two things will go together and it will actually write Christmas 2020 on the banner. After I've attached it, I'm really ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and create my project. It brings it up here to a new screen where it shows me all of the different mats that I'm going to put through my Cricut machine. I have my yellow stars on one sheet of paper. I have a second mat, which will be for my banner. And then I have my third, which is actually my tree shapes. Looks like we are set up. So the next thing I need to do is to gather my materials. I need some green paper. I'm just using some cardstock, some yellow cardstock for my stars, and some scrap of the cream colored for my banner. I'm actually going to use the stylus scorer, which is going to score some lines onto my stars so that I can fold them. Design Space tells me that I need to put the stylus inside this little clamp right here, which is great. It's on the left side. On the right side is actually the blade that's going to do the cutting. Then I'm going to use my light grip mat. I'll take off the plastic, and I'm going to stick on my paper. My first one's the yellow one, and it adheres right on here, but it's really nice because it comes off very easily. I'm going to line it up here in the grids, and then on my dial I have some options. One to turn it on, so we have the power button, and then I have all these options on here. My dial is going to be set to cardstock. Then when it's ready to feed, I push the little arrow button and Cricut will feed in my mat to get started. Once the mat is fed into the Cricut machine, the C on my control panel will light up and that will start the cutting. And that's it. It's doing its thing. It's actually cutting me 3 yellow stars and scoring them down the center so I can fold them. Once you're done, you actually push the feed button again and it will release your mat. Turn your mat over and peel the mat away from the cardstock. I'm using a little spatula here to remove them from the sticky mat. And when I'm done, I have 3 perfect little stars with score marks down the center for my Christmas tree. Now we're going to work on that banner. So Cricut has told me in Design Space to go ahead and switch out my stylus for my marker. So I'm going to put my pretty gold one right in its place and clamp it closed. I'm going to do the same process over again where I push the feed button and feed in my paper with my ivory scrap from my banner. It's going to do the writing first, and then it's going to do the cutting for the banner. And there we have it, Christmas 2020 on a pretty little banner that we can add to our Christmas tree when we're done. The last step is for our last mat, which is our Christmas tree. So we're going to use a green piece of cardstock and do the exact same process over again. Peel away our mat and we have our Christmas trees. These actually have some slits in them so we can insert them into one another to make a 3D Christmas tree. And here are all of our pieces. Now here's where I would take it over to make a tray for my kids. So I want my kids to be able to decorate these. So I'm going to create an activity tray with just a simple tray here. Going to include my little pieces so they know. My kids are a little bit older, so they're able to help me put this together if I needed them to. If you have a younger kid, they can decorate just the Christmas green part of the tree. I have my Christmas trees, and then I also have these really fun jewels that I just had in my stash that are adhesive, so all I have to do is peel and stick. But you can do things such as glitter glue. That would be a lot of fun. You can use markers to color on them and draw on them. Be very creative. Then once they're all done, you can put together the tree into a 3D form. The instructions are actually back in Design Space. This one wasn't set up to be an ornament, it was set to be a place card holder, but I'm going to tie a string onto it and hang it from our tree. Let's head over back to Design Space and try our next project. I am actually going to go to this little button over here on the side that says Images, because when you do this, there is a searchable database where you can search all sorts of images within Cricut itself. Some of these are free, but some of them you have access if you use Cricut Access, and I have all of that information down below. I highly recommend that. But I'm going to go down and look at all these options. I am searching for the perfect Christmas tree, and I think this one would do right here. It's really simple, really cute, and I could actually use it for 2 more projects. I'm going to select this Christmas tree and I'm actually going to resize it. I want this one to be as big as I can get it for my piece of paper because we are going to use this in a fine motor activity. So I'm going to resize it here and just move it over, making sure I pay attention to the rulers because that will tell me how big it actually is. So I want to stay under 8.5 by 11, which is my cardstock size. And we're going to follow that exact same process that we did before and have our Cricut actually cut this out for us. Once it's done, we feed it back out, pull away the mat, and there we have the most perfect Christmas tree you could ever have. And I'm just going to take it off real quick to show you how cool this is. I could have cut this out myself for sure, but it's so much nice to have this all done for me. But what is a Christmas tree without some lights? We're gonna need some lights for this one. So I actually went back into Design Space and in the images section and I searched for Christmas tree lights. And would you believe it? There were a lot to choose from. So I'm looking for a really, really simple one. I think this one looks good. It has some designs on it, but I'm gonna show you how to take those off real quick to customize this how you want. I'm gonna pull it out a little bit here so I can see the details. And then down on the very bottom right, I'm going to click Contour. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull up all of these little pieces that Cricut plans on cutting out for me. I'm going to tell it what not to cut out by selecting all of these options. And you can see they kind of disappear. And so that way I know Cricut is not going to cut those out any longer. It's just going to cut along the edge, which is what I want. See, here's my full image. So now I have what I want. I'm going to resize it to be smaller because we want these lights to fit on our Christmas tree. I'm going to duplicate, copy and paste, because I want a couple. Then I go ahead and click Make It, and I'm going to choose the color of cardstock for my lights, and then go ahead and start my cut. First up is yellow. So following that same process, just feed it on in using the feed button and have it cut out my 3 yellow lights. Then we're going to do a couple of pink lights. You can choose whatever color you want. And then some blue lights too. Here are all of my pieces. Let's take this over and make it into an activity tray. For this one, you're going to need some clothespins, the Christmas tree, some glue to glue the Christmas tree lights onto your clothespins, and some string. So I'm just prepping this right now before I hand it to my child. You can also do this where you just simply glue on the lights to the tree. That would be a really fun activity to do, but I wanted to do a little bit more on the fine motor work here. So I have all my lights, going to take a little bit of glue and put them on these mini clothespins. You can actually find these mini clothespins at the dollar store or on craft stores, and the lights stick right on. And then I'm going to attach a light up here. I'm just tying this one up here. You could also cut a hole out and put it through the hole, or you could glue it down. Now the first activity would be to wrap the string around the Christmas tree, or if you need to do this for your child, you can do that for them too. But I'm going to go around several times here because this becomes our string for our string of lights. Next up, the activity would be to place all of your lights by clipping them on with the clothespins. This is a lot of fun and it's working those fine motor muscles. Isn't this so cute? I really love this idea. But I was thinking I need some numbers. What if we made this into a fine motor math activity? So I went on over to Cricut and I actually drew a square in Design Space and added some numbers using the fonts, put them all on one page and told Cricut to draw them with my marker and to cut them out. Now we have some instant flashcards. You could also do this with math problems if you wanted to make it more difficult. Let's take these on over to our activity, and now we have a box full of numbers and your kids can pick one out. Let's say they picked out the number 5 for this activity. They can place it next to it, and then the next thing would be to clip on 5 of their lights to their string of lights on the tree. Great fine motor work, you guys. This is super cute and a lot of fun. You could even reuse this over again and make it into an instant busy bag. For our next activity, I wanted to try out this Cricut felt pack. This is so cute. 12 by 12 sheets of felt here in really pretty colors. I'm of course gonna need that green for my Christmas tree. I'm gonna cut out a Christmas tree in felt. For this one, I have to switch the dial over on my Cricut to custom, and then in Design Space, make sure I tell it that I'm cutting felt. I'm gonna adhere it to a little bit stronger grip of matte so it doesn't move around. I'm using the green matte here, the standard matte, smoothing it down, and then doing the same process. I actually am using that same Christmas tree that I used for the previous activity. And this time I'm just cutting it on the felt setting. When we're done, we peel away the felt and look at this beautiful felt Christmas tree. It's just perfect. For this one, instead of lights, I was thinking that we should do ornaments for an ornament activity. So back in Design Space, image search for ornaments, and I found a whole bunch to choose from. I kind of want this one right here that has a selection of 3, and once again, I'm looking for very, very basic shapes for this one. See how there's a little hole on top on there? I don't want Cricut to cut that out. I actually want Cricut to cut out the whole shape without those holes. So once again, I'm going to go into Contour and delete those holes from my ornaments so I have one entire shape. We need a little bit of a resize here to make them smaller to fit on my Christmas tree, using the rulers on the side and on the top to measure. That looks about right. Go ahead and make it. Make sure your Design Space is set to felt and your Cricut is set to custom so it knows exactly what it's cutting and how much pressure to use. Our feet in your felt. This time I'm going to do some blue ornaments, some red ornaments, and some orange ornaments. Once that's done, it's time to set up our activity. I actually have a felt board from previous activities, but you can make a felt board just by adhering some felt to a canvas. That works really well. But I like this one, so my tree fits on here perfectly. And I have a little tray here. I'm gonna sort out my ornaments. Actually, color sorting these ornaments would be a great activity, wouldn't it? Into 3 separate spots here. So now your kids can go ahead and decorate their own Christmas tree by placing the ornaments onto the tree. A great felt busy bag idea. But let's not forget some added benefit with those note cards. So let's bring back my little flashcards that I made here, and we can do the same thing with these. Choose one of the flashcards, place it next to the Christmas tree, and place that many ornaments on the tree. An instant learning activity that you can do over and over, and this one's holiday themed and great for the holiday season. If you are interested in trying out Cricut, now is the time to check it out. They have some great sales going on the website. I'm going to put a list down below in my description box of all the things that I used for the activities today, so you can go directly to it and check it out. Thank you again to Cricut for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you click subscribe to see more videos like this and give me a thumbs up to show your love.